I'm Ari, I'm the Oak Witch, and in today's video I'm going to be discussing, is there a wrong way to practice witchcraft? Yes, there is. So this is another installment in my Let's Discuss series, and it is basically just where I rant at a camera for like 20 minutes. But this time I want to discuss the phrase, there's no wrong way to practice witchcraft. Because, yes, there is actually. It's not a true statement. There are definitely wrong ways you can go about practicing witchcraft. And before I get into them, I know why people say this sentence. I know why people sort of say this. I think it comes from the idea of wanting to comfort people. Say a beginner says, can I do this in my spell? Someone goes, yeah, of course you can. There's no wrong way to practice witchcraft. But actually, that is really, really misleading. You can practice witchcraft in a lot of wrong ways. One being not prioritising safety. If you're not being safe, if you're not practicing fire safety, if you're not doing protection magic, if you're not researching defensive magic, if you don't know how to banish a spirit before you start doing spirit work, all those sorts of safety procedures, if you don't know anything to do with that and you immediately jump into spell work, it's being careless, it's being reckless, and it's dangerous. So that is a wrong way to practice witchcraft. Prioritise your safety, okay? It's important. Another wrong way to practice witchcraft is not researching the tradition, the topic, or just the practice before you jump into it. It's disrespectful. If you're jumping into deity work before actually researching the culture in which the deity originated, it's disrespectful. The religion may be an open practice, but you should still have the decency to actually research and get a background into the deity, into the culture, into the actual religious tradition before you jump into deity work. Not only is it disrespectful to the culture, but it's disrespectful for the deity, and then you're jumping into deity work. That is a wrong way to practice witchcraft. And this goes into the idea of, being safe. If you're not researching something fully and getting a good idea, a good base of what it is that you're about to do, then you sort of know what to expect in a way. You sort of have a better idea of what to expect at least. So you can prepare for things. It's just being sensible. Another wrong way to practice witchcraft is if you are not doing any work alongside the spell. A spell's components is more than just piling together random ingredients and making something. There's more to a spell than just that. It's about the movement of energy, engaging in that meditative state. It's about visualizations. It's about working with different types of spirits. It encompasses so much more than just the physical material aspect of compiling stuff together and doing something with it. And this also goes further in that the mundane work is intrinsically linked to the magical process. The mundane is magical in a spell. So if you're doing a spell for getting good grades, you still have to revise. If you're doing a job spell, you still have to send out applications. Magic takes the path of least resistance, so you have to actually engage in the mundane work as well, because that is a part of magic. So if you're not doing that, and if you're not doing any of the actual spiritual side of the magic, of the spell, then no wonder your spells aren't going to work. As a part of the process. So yeah, for sure that's a wrong way to practice witchcraft. Another wrong way to practice witchcraft is not doing any work at all. As I said in my last video, I think it was, witches are not armchair magicians. And this is no shade to people who are armchair occultists or magicians or whatever, who just really like reading and don't necessarily do a lot of practice. Live your life how you want to. Who am I to tell you otherwise, right? But witchcraft is a practice. That is how you define witchcraft. I think it can be inaccurate sometimes to separate witchcraft from religion entirely, because they can be very much linked and interconnected. Of course they can. But witchcraft ultimately is a practice. It is something that you do. So being a witch is practicing witchcraft, and that is defined by actively doing something. So if you're not doing anything, why are you calling yourself a witch? You have to practice. That's the whole point. If you're a witch and you're not practicing witchcraft, then like, what are you doing? You know? So I would say, yeah, that is a wrong way to practice witchcraft. My next one is a bit more serious. If you're using witchcraft to support any racist, ableist, sexist, transphobic, homophobic, etc. agenda, you have no place in this community. You do not belong here, and you don't deserve to call yourself a witch. If you're outwardly and intentionally discriminatory against a group of people and you call yourself a witch, there are some things I'd want to say, but this is an all ages educational channel, so I will refrain. But you do not belong here, and you are practicing witchcraft wrong. So my next wrong way of practicing witchcraft is if you are leaving the earth worse from when you arrived. Leave no trace. If you are going out of your way to leave a negative mark on the earth in your witchcraft practice, you are practicing it wrong, in my opinion. I feel like as witches we respect the earth, and we respect it because we use its natural energies, and we use what it brings us, and it brings us so much. You know, our living existence as humans on this earth just causes damage. It just does. You know, if we're walking along the grass, we're potentially squashing invertebrates beneath our feet. If you drive a car, you are contributing to air pollution. Even if you drive electric, you are supporting the idea of roads fragmenting habitats, which reduces species diversity and in general biodiversity. You know, there's no way you can live a life completely eco-friendly. I just don't think you can, and that's coming from someone who's studying conservation. There's a reality of our modern day existence as humans in this, in this modern society. We damage the earth in pretty much nearly everything that we do. And that's not to be pessimistic, but the whole point of being a eco-warrior or someone who is a conservation activist is just doing what you can. So, I feel, especially as witches who utilise the earth in their practice quite strongly, we should minimise our impact as much as possible. If you're pouring wax on the ground, if you're pouring salt on the earth, if you're leaving non-biodegradable ribbons on trees, if you're putting coins in trees, if you're defacing trees at all, if you're defacing any wildlife areas, if you're dumping jars in rivers, you are intentionally harming the earth in your practice. And the thing that annoys me most about this is you don't have to practice witchcraft like this, you know? You can craft a spell without dumping a jar in a river or in a body of water. You don't have to do that. You don't have to dispose of your spell that way. There are so many other ways you can make spells and do spells that doesn't harm the earth. Oh gosh. So when you consider all these things, and plus there are way more. There are way more niche ways that are wrong. People, I guess, are really conflating a lot of different things with witchcraft, and I think that is another problem that we have. I may do a separate video on just explaining what witchcraft is, but there's a lot of things which get sort of painted with a broad witchcraft brush, and it's not entirely true. One example off the top of my head I would say right now is crystal healing. Crystal healing has never been a part of witchcraft. At least historically it's never been a part of witchcraft. People have used crystals in their practice. I use crystals in my practice. As a witch who has animist views flow quite nicely in her craft, working with crystals as spirits makes sense to me, and it flows just as nicely as I would use herbs, for example. But crystal healing comes from the New Age movement, and the New Age movement is not witchcraft. this idea of if you're into crystal healing and you're not rejecting modern medicine and and that sort of stuff, then that's fine. I'm not trying to bash anyone who does, because you do you. It's not my thing, but if it's yours, that's completely fine. It's never really been a core part of witchcraft, and I don't really know how that sort of came to be a thing. So when we're looking at the development of the New Age, we get into this idea of all these love and light topics, law of attraction, crystal healing. My mind is blanking, but westernized, watered down chakras. All these things are acceptable because they're watered down concepts, if that makes sense. They don't necessarily defy traditional values, I should say. So I think at some point along the way, and you're pairing that with the development of Wicca, and Wicca being really influential in the development of modern witchcraft as we know it today, a lot of people go into their modern witchcraft practice being Wiccan, and I think it's just a gateway for a lot of people, and that's valid. But so when we see that, I think along the way, Wicca and New Age kind of like intermingled, and now people are conflating things like crystal healing with witchcraft, but actually they don't go hand in hand. They can, if you want them to, but crystal healing is not necessarily a part of witchcraft. So, anyway, I bring all this up to say, in terms of wrong ways to practice witchcraft, when you're looking at these kind of concepts and you're looking at this like idea of what people define witchcraft as, there's actually quite a lot of misinformation. And it can be hard sometimes when people say, oh, there's no wrong way to practice witchcraft. But actually there is. There is some wrong ways to practice witchcraft. And especially if you're defining witchcraft by these inaccurate concepts. They're not necessarily things that are actually a part of witchcraft. But if you incorporate it in your witchcraft, you personally, if you do, that's fine. But you shouldn't define that by witchcraft. You see some witchcraft books which automatically talk about the chakras as if it's like a part of witchcraft, but it's not. You think that the wise women and the wise men and the cunning folk back in the day were using chakras in their practice? They were not. So it's just a bit like, how did we sort of get to this idea of modern witchcraft and these concepts which, aren't actually a part of witchcraft, but people sort of immediately assume that they are? It's a bit weird to me. And there I think, anyway, so my whole point is that there is this level of misinformation, and I do think that it's our job to get rid of it and just inform the misinformed, and I think that's all you can do, really. We can try get a better understanding of what it means to be a witch. So when we say things like there's no wrong way to practice witchcraft, yes, there is wrong ways to practice witchcraft. If you're misinformed, if you're spreading misinformation, and if you're outwardly practicing in a way which causes harm, disrespect, etc., that is wrong. Now, if you're watching this and you feel like I've called you out, try not to take it too personally, because misinformation, you can't help it if you've absorbed information that is wrong. You don't know any better, and that's okay. But now you know, so just try and reflect and perhaps vet your sources better, etc. So my point is to not take any of this personally. It's okay, people make mistakes, and the whole point of this is a journey. We're learning. I learn all the time. I'm constantly learning new things every single day, and it's so fun. It's so fun, and it's so beautiful and really magical. When you come across a piece of information that you just didn't know anything about before, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I just didn't know that, and that's just so cool. Something I'm really enjoying in the research prompts that I set in my Discord server is I think this past week we've been doing, I set a research topic to research a mythological creature or a spirit that isn't a deity and share some information about it. And I chose good old Shuck from English folklore, but so many other people have been sharing their sort of like type of spirit from whatever culture they feel connected to, And it's been so cool to learn these new things. So I bring this up to say there's no shame in being a beginner, and there's no shame in making mistakes or realising that you've done something wrong, but there is shame in letting it affect you so much that you act out and you reject progress, if that makes sense. If you're engaging in defense mechanisms and just being overly defensive when someone calls you out for something, then I think that's something you need to reflect on. It's okay to make mistakes and to be wrong. What really matters is how you act from then on, and how you learn from your mistakes, and how you do better next time. That's the whole point of progress, and that's the whole point of this journey. You will make mistakes, you will get things wrong. I will still get things wrong. I like to think that I'm an experienced practitioner, but I will still get things wrong, and that's okay. Don't let it hold you back. So, there are wrong ways to practice witchcraft, and that's okay, alright? It is a practice, it is a specific practice, because if we say there are no wrong ways to practice witchcraft, then that could mean that witchcraft is anything. Witchcraft can be anything you like, and that's not true. People do this when you're looking at other cultures. For example, in Latin America, and you're looking at brujeria, brujeria is not witchcraft. They are not the same. Brujeria may directly translate to witchcraft, but witchcraft and brujeria are different. They are. And if you try and start calling yourself a bruja because it directly translates to witch, you're gonna look really strange. You're gonna look slightly misinformed. So there are wrong ways to practice witchcraft because not everything is witchcraft. There are some cultures which heavily practice magic. They may not call it magic, and they will probably definitely not call it witchcraft. And if you call it witchcraft, they would likely get very, very offended. It may look very similar to witchcraft, and ultimately you may believe that they're just practicing witchcraft, but you can't paint that brush on them if they're not already doing it themselves, you know? It's considered quite rude, actually, if you do that. So saying that there's no wrong way to practice witchcraft can actually be quite disrespectful and can actually get you in some trouble. I hope this Let's Discuss episode has been useful or interesting. It's a topic which to be fair, I don't actually see a lot of people talking about it. But I think people should. I think people should stop saying that there's no wrong ways to practice witchcraft, because there are, and that's okay. What are your thoughts on this? Did you like this video? I want to hear your thoughts. I'm genuinely curious to see what people say. I hope I didn't offend anyone in this video, and if you do feel like I've called you out, please know that even if I have, it's really not personal. You're gonna just make so many mistakes, and mistakes aren't inherently a bad thing. What makes it a bad action is if you don't learn from it, you know? So really just take the time to reflect, I guess, and anyway. And if you're a racist or sexist or homophobic or whatever, go away. You are not welcome here. And I will not apologise for calling you out. Thank you very, very much for watching this video. Nearly at 2,000 subscribers now, which is so scary for me, but really, really appreciate it. And I genuinely reflect on all the people who have helped my channel, and people who've commented, and people who've shared my videos, and you know, Megan Black and Ban, if you're watching, you two I know have been really, really supportive of me, and I appreciate you so much, genuinely. Yeah, and I just really appreciate you guys watching. So yeah, I'll stop waffling. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.